thanks for joining me in Homo Politicals today. This is Enterprise Television. Kingsley Bass is my name. Let's talk political development in the country. Today's attention is on Rivers State. One more time, the world can hear you saying that alongside me today. Well, today is January 16, 2026, and the Rivers State House of Assembly formally reaffirmed its decision to proceed with the impeachment of Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy, Professor Ngozi Odu. And yes, the assembly led by Speaker Martin Amorile unanimously voted to call upon the Chief Judge of Rivers State, Justice Simeon Madi, to immediately put together a 7-man panel to investigate allegations of gross misconduct against the governor and his deputy. Lawmakers who few days back had said they would prefer the political solution. 4 lawmakers, Barile Nwako, Emilia Lucky Mamadi, Silvanus Nwankwo, and Peter Nabe, who had previously called for a peaceful reconciliation back some few days back, have now rescinded their stance today, just before the assembly sat, to reach that resolution unanimously. They now support the impeachment, these 4 lawmakers, citing the executive's lack of remorse and continued disregard for constitutional mandates. That's what they say. Now, this impeachment notice originally served sometime last week, January 8, 2026 precisely, includes accusation of reckless and unconstitutional expenditure of public funds, specifically violating sections 120 to 122 of the 1999 Constitution. They say too that the executive engaged in obstruction of the Assembly's duties and making illegal appointments without legislative screening. They mentioned too the demolition of the Assembly complex. Current political situation in the state, is that this crisis is centered, as many would say, on a long-standing rift between Governor Fubara and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike, the current Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, who has been just recently concluded his local government tour around the local government in the state. He's now back to the Federal Capital Territory. His media spokesperson just a few days ago posted how he held the meeting with members of his cabinet, if you like, in the Federal Capital Territory administration. But yes, you remember that despite interventions by President Bola Tinubu, the 26 pro-Wike lawmakers maintained that impeachment is the only viable solution to this political impasse. And the situation remains volatile while the Assembly has now directed the Chief Judge to begin the probe. The governor's camp has previously dismissed the moves as illegal and unconstitutional. Well, there's a major development regarding that. Just before I let you know what that development is, let's turn very quickly, take a listen to the decision of the lawmakers when they spoke themselves. So take a listen to this back in a moment.
To once again halt the impeachment process against the governor and the deputy governor. This morning, the 16th day of January 2026, we concluded that there is indeed the need to proceed. This is a decision of all of us, including members who had the opportunity to address the media a few days ago and those who had already decided not to proceed. But, ladies and gentlemen, we members of the 10th Rivers State House of Assembly agreed to
of the Rivers State House of Assembly, led by the Deputy Speaker, there addressing the press earlier today about the situation. But some minutes back, reports reaching the studio is the fact that the Rivers State High Court, sitting in the local government, has stepped into this escalating political crisis in the state, and the court has now issued an interim injunction that temporarily halts further action on the impeachment process against Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy, Professor Ngozi Odu. In a ruling delivered in Port Harcourt, the court restrained the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Martin Amorile, alongside 32 other defendants, including the clerk of the House and the Chief Judge of Rivers State, from stepping or more like taking steps to advance the impeachment process. Specifically, the order barred the chief judge, Justice Simon Chibu-Zomadi, from receiving, forwarding, considering, or acting on any request, resolution, or impeachment-related documents from the Assembly for the purpose of constituting an investigative panel pending the determination of the matter. And this injunction is to subsist for 7 days. And that's that regarding that. The order was granted by Justice Florence Fubara following the hearing of a motion ex parte filed separately by Governor Fubara and his deputy today. All right, so there you go. By the way, the court also granted the claimant leave to serve the interim order and other originating processes on the 1st to the 31st defendants by pasting them at the gate of the River State House of Assembly quarters. And the court also directed that the chief judge, listed as a 32nd defendant, be served through any staff of the judiciary at his chambers within the court premises. And Justice Fubara thereafter adjourned the matter to January 23 for hearing of the motion on notice as a legal battle over the impeachment move shifts from the political arena now to the courtroom. I'm joined now by constitutional lawyer Evans Ufeli. He joins me virtually for this conversation today as we look at this political situation in Rivers State. Many thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time on Homo Politicos. Now, well, new twists to this. The lawmakers returned. They had promised to reconvene yesterday from last Thursday when they first initiated the process. They promised to return yesterday. As a matter of fact, that this morning we're talking about this silence from the assembly, and just while the Nigerians were saying, oh, have they gone back to their shells? I haven't seen four lawmakers, pull back from the process. But they, all of a sudden, to address the media and say they would proceed with that, and they gave the order to the chief judge to proceed. I'd like to get your thoughts on this matter. This impeachment, do you think this is truly about constitutional accountability by the lawmakers, or has this become the final battleground in this long-running Fubara Wike political feud? And I mean, what proof, what evidence is available that shows due process that's been followed here over political loyalty?
Well, the lawmakers believe that they are doing the right thing by coming up with grounds for impeachment, which is called gross misconduct, one of which is the issue of the budget and spending out of the budget and so many allegations that they have put forth. Okay? So they believe that the right thing to do is to proceed with the process of impeachment. But when you look at it now, the whole scenario has changed because Fubara is now in court and has gotten an order to restrain them from continuing the process. Okay, I know there are people who will argue that in that section 188 of the 1999 Constitution, there's a provision there that the court should not interfere. Okay, when there's an issue of impeachment, they still is going in. But that is neither here nor there, because any order that is made by the court must first of all be obeyed before it is challenged. So as far as the court has given an order ex parte, whatever it is in the law, the defendant must obey the order first by halting the proceeding. Okay. Then when they are finally put on notice, they will now file their counter affidavit, okay, to the motion on notice, and then go and argue the law that says the court cannot stop them. But as for now, every order made by a law court that is substituted must be obeyed, whether such order is wrong or right. In fact, under the law, no order of court is wrong or right, except another court of law of higher jurisdiction, says so. Okay, so once you approach the court, the law is that once you have an issue, okay, you cannot take the law into your hand. You cannot go to the State House to send all the lawmakers away, or to stop them, or to arrest them from carrying out their function. What you can do as in civil society is to approach the court. And now Fubara and his team have approached the court, and they have an order of court. So that order of court subsists. No matter the argument you bring against it, it subsists. Until you have the opportunity of being served, and then you respond to the protest. Then the court will look at whether your argument also dispels, or whether your argument, the court will agree whether there is a decision or for it to have acted or not. So the days to come will show us, because they have gotten to a stage already where they need to come up with the panel that will investigate the allegation. That is the stage where they are now. Okay, but unfortunately, the court is now saying, by the order of this honorable court, you must restrain from constituting that panel, or the panel must restrain itself from carrying out any investigation pending the examination of the suit. So you cannot have a case in court on the same matter, and then you have a parallel panel on it.
As a matter of fact, the court did order that the chief judge not bother, working on any directive from the lawmakers to put together the 7-man panel. And this order is to subsist for 7 days. By January 23, the court is to sit to listen to or to decide even further on this matter. But let's, turn to the political side of things. Some persons, we saw for some days ago 4 lawmakers in pairs, 2 male, 2 female, speak with the media saying, all right, they believe that, yes, the governor has maybe misstepped, but they believe in a political solution to the matter. It was shocking to see them today rescind those comments and say their decision was done in good faith, but that the governor has since not shown remorse, according to them. So how credible do you think this is this assembly's sudden unity, especially after those lawmakers reversed their earlier call for reconciliation? Do you think this U-turn strengthens or weakens public trust in the impeachment process?
Yeah, you see, the impeachment process has never been credible. The impeachment process was orchestrated by Wike, who controls the State House of Assembly. And everything you see going on is by his imagination, by what he has put together. Okay, so, and whatever it is they are doing it because of their layout. Remember, Wike has told them at the inception, bought forms for all of them, sponsor all of them. So they appear to be loyal to him and subservient to him. Okay, and Wike has entered an agreement with Fubara that is not going to return second term. Okay, when he was impeached before his recall. Okay, so when you look at it, it is what Wike is pushing for, making sure that this man goes down politically. That's what is going on now. But you can only be as strong as the law permits you to be. And that is why it's approaching the court. I also know that there are people who will argue that there's a provision of the Constitution that says that if you are determining the tenureship or otherwise of a state house member, that of a governor, that of a president, and that of whosoever, that the right court to go is the Federal High Court and not the State High Court, that the State High Court have no jurisdiction. I know that argument is in the Constitution too, but that argument is only valid to the extent that the substituting order of court must be obeyed first. And that is, everybody must hold proceedings within 7 days. Okay? And within that 7 days, the motion of notice itself will be heard. Okay, so if the court declines jurisdiction, then Fubara can proceed to the Federal High Court and continue his case. As far as I am concerned, we all know the truth, but many persons do not want to admit the truth. Okay, and the truth is that godfatherism is holding sway in River State and in Nigeria at large. Okay, and that is what is causing all these disputes. That one man who have led the state before, who is supposed to be working for the growth of the state, as the one who should be a statesman, have decided that no, nobody, nobody will have authority and control of the state after him. He forgets that before him were government, before him we were head of state, even both military and the rest of that. And there comes a time when you need to relinquish authority and look at the future. But we have refused to do that. So because of that, River State is full of River State. Democracy and the rule of law is suffering. And unfortunately, we now have a state house of assembly that have no mind of its own. That also puts the house under intense pressure and the state under intense pressure. So what is happening in River State is just by it's self-inflicted. Wike should learn how to give up issues when they become overreaching as Barbieri.
Well, let's turn to some legal implications. So the Chief Judge of Rivers State decides to proceed with the probe, decides to put together this 7-man panel despite this order of court, and claims from the governors come to that the process is not constitutional. Do you think this could, escalate into even further judicial and constitutional crisis in Rivers State?
No chief judge can do that because such a chief judge was sanctioned by the NJC. When a court, we're talking about the judiciary versus the judiciary now, that's what you are raising. You understand? When a court has given an order under the law, that order must first of all be obeyed before any other thing. Even if you are saying a court does not have jurisdiction to hear a particular matter, the court must first of all assume jurisdiction to determine whether it has jurisdiction or not. The first thing the court must do is to assume jurisdiction. And it is when it assumes jurisdiction, it cannot hear what is brought before it to determine truly by law whether it has jurisdiction or not. The court cannot say it has jurisdiction or not without hearing the matter, even if it knows that it has or not. It must hear the matter and make a public pronouncement on it. Okay? So no chief judge can do that thing you are saying. That chief judge will be sanctioned by the NJC. He will go through intense disciplinary measures. Okay, sanctioning judges is not a state function. It's a judicial function. That one is beyond Wike or whoever is controlling and influencing them. It is that judge versus the NJC. Okay? And so no judge can do that. There's already an order, another expert. He must wait for the next 7 days for the court to determine the case.
Yeah, you did mention some governance consequences, that the Rivers State people are currently bearing the brunt of this, political impasse in the state. You talked about the fact that the rule of law is suffering in the state. But let's talk about possible political escalation. You've addressed the possible judicial escalation, saying that cannot happen. But politically, we could see another rise, heightened tension in Rivers State if this is not properly handled. As a matter of fact, if you listen closely to the lawmakers while addressing the press, the majority leader of the House, Jack, did talk about the fact that he, after introducing himself, he did mention the fact that he's a jaw man. Another lawmaker, in fact, several lawmakers, came forward, stepping forward, saying they are true sons or daughters of Ijo, and so making it sound like this as there is no ethnic coloration to this. And so say that to say that there is a possibility that this would take a different turn politically and the attention could rise from both camps. What word do you have for both the camp of the lawmakers and the governor as well as his deputy? And then there is the former governor, Minister Nyesom Wike, in the picture too. What do you have to say regarding this? Could we see another situation where there would be the tax and the rest? That's not what we're hoping for. But do you sense that it could get there, heighten political tension in the state?
Yes, it will escalate. Rivers State is very volatile. It will escalate into possible violence very soon. I predicted this a long time ago that the peace has not returned after the state of emergency declaration. Okay? If I were a lawmaker in Rivers State, like Pontus Pilate, I will wash my hands off this impeachment case. Yeah, because it is ill-conceived. It is not it's not from the place of law. It's not genuine. It's from a place of witch hunting. Yes, it's coming from a bitter place. The recess of the interest of one man's interest as against the people's interest. And if we allow that individual interest to overshadow the general public interest, then it will mean that we're undermining democracy. Because democracy is supposed to be good for the good of all. And if anything is done, directly or indirectly, that speaks otherwise, that thing must not be supported. It must not be, supported by the people, lawmakers, or whosoever, or the judiciary and the system itself. So one of the ways through which we can reclaim the rule of law is by subjecting, every action and inaction of our leaders to the prompting of the law and to ensure that they go according to the dictates of law and not otherwise. So if a man has a personal interest or personal vendetta, he should go and settle it with the person under reference and not to use it to soil the rule of law and governance that will generally affect a wider spectrum of the human persons in society.
Just before we go, halfway through 2026, by June, political parties would have settled for their candidates for several positions. What role do you think the All Progressives Congress would play in the grand scheme now? Many have said that the governor ran to that party alongside his deputy to seek protection, the type he said he didn't get with the People's Democratic Party. Do you think he can get that, protection that he seeks politically from this, if you like, this tension, this war, that political war, so to be clear, from his
the
predecessor?
APC in Rivers State have made a statement supporting Fubara. You understand? The party can only support him to the extent at which they have accepted him as one of them. But the ultimate protection will come from the courts, okay? That must sit and must determine that matter without bias, okay? So he will get the necessary support he needs because the people are tired of this kind of back and forth since he assumed office. First of all, Wike didn't even allow him to appoint commissioners. Wike appointed virtually all the commissioners and just wanted him to be redundant. And you can't do that to anyone. What Wike is doing to Fubara, Wike will not take it from anybody. He will not. Okay, and so I'm happy that the court have stepped in and has made an order. I am happy that Fubara got the best legal advice.